Hello. Hello, I'm Benji,
And I am Abby.
and we would like to welcome you to Benji and Abby Busket with
Dot dot dot.
ourselves today.
Ourselves today.
Um, this is the first episode in a weekly series of chats and interviews with friends of the Bohemians Theatre Company.
Indeed. And the Bohemians, if you're just tuning in for this bit, tuning in? It's very old school.
Tuning in.
If you're just tuning in for this one and you've never really heard of the Bohemians before, we are an acting user theatre company. And we have started, we're about 2 years old. And we're going to talk a bit more about ourselves today, where we started. It was all Benji's brainchild. And we've got a really cool season coming up of things.
So this is sort of the first part of our online season of work called Busket.
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 Indeed. And these, as Benji said, these are going to be weekly little chats. We're going to be chatting with people who've been involved in our shows. We might have some little cameos from other things, little surprises along the way. But these will be nice little chats to see what we're about, what we've been doing, and why you should look into the Bohemians more. Could be fun. And also, we have some Instagram Lives things. So if you feel like you're at home during the lockdown, bit bored, and you want to get your creativeness going, we have some workshops going on Instagram Live. They'll be Bohemian related. They might be related to some shows we did, but they'll be quite fun. We've got some music ones, we've got movement ones, we've got, hopefully, might have a bit of sprinkler text ones, and possibly some puppetry. We'll see. We're going to see what happens there. But yeah, it'll be quite fun. So get involved. There's other things happening as well, Benji, isn't there?
We've got some sort of virtual performances. We're sort of looking at getting some of our company members to record monologues or scenes from some of our work that we've done previously, and some songs as well. We have a few musical surprises coming up, but we kind of don't know what we're doing, but we do. So we're literally busking it. We're literally, we gotta get the pun in. We are literally busking it, and we would appreciate if you could share your thoughts and feedback and like and share all of our stuff we're putting out on our social media pages, and send us perhaps ideas of stuff you'd like to see or like to get involved with. But we thought we'd kick today off by talking about sort of where the theatre company started, where the Bohemians was born, and how we're surviving today as well during this very weird moment.
We're gonna pull it back to a memory I have, and all the Bohemians should have, of Benji, with a lovely pink glittery wand in first year in our first class with our voice teacher Tess Dignan. So I just remember Benji saying there and then he wanted a theatre company, and there and then Tess went, right, what's the name? And he went, Bohemians. So that was how it was born, really, wasn't it, Benji? But how did it come? So what brought you to that moment of wanting a theatre company?
Oh, well, I caught the theatre bug when I was about 9, I think. Before then, I don't know what I was doing. I was a gaming boy, or floating in the world. But when I was 9, I discovered theatre, and I used to be obsessed with pantomimes, and I would recreate the pantomimes in my back garden with my sister and my friends. And I just knew from then I wanted to have a theatre company as soon as I knew what a theatre company was. So it's been a dream of mine since I was a little boy, and I kind of set something up before I came to drama school. But it was when I went to Rose Bruford and met this class of completely mad people who are my friends for life now. We're stuck together basically. It was in that moment I knew this is the right moment to sort of really take this seriously now, and sort of figure out what it is and how to set one up and just go for it. And it was as you said, in that test lesson where she asked us all what our dreams were. It was Elliot's dream was to go to space. James wanted to be in the Phantom of the Opera. Patrick wanted to be write a movie. What was your dream?
I wanted to work for Tim Burton, and I still do. If
you're
watching. I'm here. I'm available.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that moment was really important, especially at the start of our training, to sort of keep us focused. I think it's really important to always come back to why you wanted to do something in the first place. So that's why I fondly remember that test moment a lot.
I remember speaking to you, and I think because we did one of our auditions together. And I
Yes, we
remember
did.
you giving me a leaflet for Peter Pan,
I
and telling
did.
me
Oh
to
my
do it.
gosh.
And I remember, was it Second Star?
It was, yeah, Second Star, one of my first musicals.
So was that like, how many had you done before you'd come to like
I
full
did
on productions before
I
Buford?
did a musical called Grown Ups, the musical about my parents and their friends' drunken antics in my secondary school, which was interesting.
And then Mischief Theatre must have stolen that. So
Yeah, yeah. And then Second Star happened, and that was sort of my gap year project. And I really flaunted that in my auditions. And at Bruford, I remember in my audition for Bruford, Jeremy Harrison, who ran the course, he was very interested in someone interested in setting up an acting musical theatre company. So even in my auditions,
it was floating,
it was
bubbling away.
floating. The seed was there, and the idea was there. Um, and thankfully, Rose Bruford, you know, helped me realize that dream and bring it to life. I'm getting emotional now.
Oh, I know, it's nice to reflect, isn't it? Because you
It
never actually get
is.
home and you're constantly trying to drive forward and go, right, what's next? What's next? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
where we've come from and what the Bohemians has managed to do, because obviously you've not just been the Bohemians, you've been like co-producing other things or had umbrella projects, and that's such an amazing feat in itself, not just going right with us and that's it.
yeah. And that because we're a company of about 12 people, perhaps even more than that. There's a lot of us involved in this, but everyone's obviously been very successful and working and busy, and everyone's doing different things. That's probably been the biggest challenge since leaving drama school and keeping the company alive. Is sort of figuring out how we work together when we're not together all the time. And there have been ups and downs to that, absolutely, since leaving. So obviously we've been able to do a couple of R&Ds, but yeah, it's figuring out how you keep alive financially as well has been a big challenge. So that's something we've had some time to reflect on during this big crisis as well, is how we create work and keep alive, which is a big part of what Busket is all about.
So when did you write? Because obviously the first production that we did as the Bohemians was Wonder Town, and I know it was like bubbling away in the background. And there was occasional songs that we'd hear or you'd do bits of it. When did Wonder Town, like the first draft, come? When was it around?
It So Wonder Town kind of started life when I was back in Wales, because I didn't understand politics at all, and I would just been turned 18, and I had this vote. I had the right to vote. It was a 2015 election, I think. Um, and as I love musicals, as you might be able to tell, um,
A bit.
I sort of thought, well, how can I write a musical to help me understand how to vote? And that's how Wonder Town started, really. And then obviously I became more interested in politics by doing that, and especially at Rose Bruford, when you're surrounded by younger people who are also figuring it out and engaging with it. Um, and that's how it started, really. And then the first ever thing we did as a company, I vividly remember we set up the Facebook page, as you do, to go like, let's try and do this. But I remember we lived in a very, it's a very, what it's a, I don't know what the word is, historic student
Bohemian.
house.
I'll
Bohemian,
say that.
yeah. It was it's quite a mecca. Is that the right word? What is it? It's a place, it's a legendary house within Sidcup that has hosted actor musicians for years and years and years. And in our living room, we had about maybe 20 of us, or a bit less than that, sat around and we read through the first ever draft of Wonder Town, and it was just magical. I do have a photo. I don't know if I've got it in my.
It's on Instagram, isn't it? The photo of all of us together.
It is, and I'll throw it into the video version of this. A photo of us all with the scripts and sort of it was amazing. And we after that we were leading up to Symposium, which is an arts festival that Rose Bruford do for. It's where the students can put on
It's a
their own.
fantastic time.
It's
It's one of
amazing.
the best times of being in Bruford, is having that opportunity to go, right, this is something we've been working on. The ability to scratch something out, knowing you've got an audience, knowing you've got the feedback, knowing you've got the support and the space. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Um, and that's what one of the drawing factors to Bruford was, that festival. I was so interested in that and how it aligned with your training and stuff. But so obviously
So many
you did a couple of different things in
Gosh, you do, don't
symposium.
you? But yeah, I did quite. I remember first year, you just want to get involved in everything. But
Everything. Yeah.
I did another show with another company that went to Edinburgh after that, so that's why it's so nice to have that showcase in a way and
Yeah.
have that chance. But
Yeah.
I do remember one of the rehearsals. We were rehearsing for Wondertown for Symposium, and remember we were rehearsing on the green in the grass. And what is a beautiful thing about Bruford is you don't know what's real and what's not. You don't know if someone's having a scene or someone's just having a chat. But we were in a big choreography session.
Yeah.
One of the security guards that came over whilst we were
Oh,
chatting to us whilst we were still trying to do this rehearsal. It was brilliant. He just stayed for the whole song in the middle of it. It was
I actually
brilliant.
have a very funny video that Elliot likes to show off to everyone. I hope it's here. Ah, here we go.
How's the rehearsals going, Benji?
It's just everyone. This sums us up, really. I mean, you got everyone prancing about. We couldn't book a rehearsal space because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was amazing though.
Double bass line on the floor amongst the chaos makes me happy.
Yeah,
You know, Tommy Aguero is around.
absolutely. Yeah, but that symposium performance was that sort of made me go, at least this feels right. Us making work together, it's mad, it's bonkers, and that sort of allowed us to keep going, I think.
And how immersive it is as well, I think, is such a Bohemians trait. And I know with, for example, Pardon wasn't as immersive, but I don't know. I think whatever work that's coming out of the Bohemians, it does feel like you're either going to get physically involved or you are there and you're pulled in by. It's quite an intimate theatre
Yeah,
company.
and I think there's something about the nature of acting musicianship, and about how physical that is, and how we connect to seeing people playing instruments, and how we connect to that viscerally live in a space. And I think it's something special. And there's a lot of amazing acting musician theatre companies popping up now, which is so exciting. And a lot of gig theatre, which is something I think we should definitely look at, which is all part of the spectrum of
Yeah.
acting musicianship. Yeah, it's a very special thing, that is becoming very popular, which just makes me so happy. So
It's great.
I got a question for you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well,
Go for it.
you kind of talked about this now anyway when you said about us meeting in the auditions, but
Mm.
like when we were first doing Wondertown, in our crazy house in Faraday Avenue, and rehearsing for that symposium performance, what was going through your head? Were you thinking, what the hell is this ridiculous musical about Alice in Wonderland and politics? And what
Well, all right. I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. For people who don't know me, like I have. If you went into other parts of the house, there's not a square inch without it. So I think I just loved that you were drawing on that, and I think I did remember thinking how clever it was to have the politics of the Alice in Wonderland story brought to now, because obviously in Wondertown we skip between the times and the worlds, and you don't quite know which is where. And then I was just thinking that's really clever. But then obviously because it was a first read and we're all students, and it was just mental chaos. But it was, I just remember the party scene. There's a party scene in the show where the very first scene, and it's just so hard to keep up with what's going on unless you're watching it. So if you're reading it, you won't have a clue. And Patrick just dons this character straight away, and I don't know if that's why you cast him as that character, but it was just this grandpa person, and it was just funny. It was brilliant. I didn't know that it would be as big as it was, like coming and being our last show. But I don't know, always through it and during the reading, I felt like it was going to be more. and I felt like the Bohemians was going to be more. And I remember when we got sat down to get told, look, you've got the opportunity to perform this in your new writing, and like I expected that conversation after the whole symposium thing happened, because it happened. And you know, if you're in theatre, if you're doing different projects, if you're on a project, you know when it's finished and you know when there's more to come. You do, and you can feel if it's got more legs or more life. And you normally, if you feel like that, it has normally got more, and it does normally happen again. And I think Wondertown always felt like that. And it was amazing because we had everybody. So you have 12 people in our class, and we brought in a few actors as well. And we had just this big ensemble piece. And I think that's what's really important, is how ensemble the Bohemians are, and we are as a theatre company, is we work on the musicality and the being together, but we had the luxury of just being everyone, and like it just felt like this explosion of madness. But then going back to when we did that group read, you wouldn't think it'd have been that, because that's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I always remember when you did your speech at the other palace, you think back to that very first read through, because you're like, wow, that's all come from that chaos, and thinking, oh, is this going to quite work? And I think it was quite nice to have the freedom that it's all right if it didn't. And no one was going to judge you, and it wasn't a problem. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. Hey, it's fine. But it did, and parts of it really did. And then you were doing your speech, and you've just put on like the show at the other palace studio, and what an amazing feat. And to see everyone coming together and Bruford as a community being there and supporting it, it was just it makes me emotional. It makes me sad happy, because I'm dead proud of you.
Yeah, well, I feel like Rose Bruford really gave us the confidence to be that bold and silly and experimental since leaving. I mean, with the Wild Swans, it's that it's an old Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale that we've sort of given a feminist spin on, and it's like kind of a movement music piece with little dialogue, and that and then we've been developing Pardon further and seeing that grow. I feel Rose Bruford definitely gave us a confidence to make it happen in the real world, and we are doing that, and it's challenging, but that's the fun part, is how do we make this happen? How do we do it?
We're still a baby, aren't we?
We're very young.
We're only 2 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll find our feet, and you can't learn unless you make a mistake, and those wise sayings.
All the wise sayings.
All the wise sayings.
So Abby, what have you been doing in lockdown?
Gosh. Well, I teach piano, so that's been keeping me going. Seeing other faces apart from my family, who I love dearly, but they're the same faces. So I've been teaching. I've been working on another project with a friend who's doing like a one-man show, so I'm going to be the muso in that, so that'll be fun. What else have I been doing? It's been lovely seeing. I did a lockdown panto, which was brilliant. That was good fun. That was insane to see that come together.
A panto in April, is it? April?
A panto in April. It was basically the Easter panto.
It can only happen in this crisis. Well, it probably happens.
It's got to happen. Well, they had an Easter panto booked, but obviously they couldn't do that. And so they changed it to Rapunzel, cast us, got us involved, because Rapunzel's most fitting. So we did that. That was fun. And other than that, I feel like although the lockdown has happened and the theatre, it's awful what we're seeing at the minute in news with theatres and theatre companies, and I know some are furloughed, but they're saying it's not enough, and that's horrific. It's awful. But what I feel it has done is brought the theatre companies and people and the industry a bit closer together, and a bit of a realisation of, okay, now we have chance to be creative in other ways. Like, that's not just monetary. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Money making.
Money making. What is money?
Money making. That's not just that, and it makes us go, right, okay, well, I can actually start doing that project, and that project I've pinned because it doesn't pay the bills, and I think that's really special. and obviously it's horrific, but I think the chance to what Joan Littlewood used to like cocoon her actors and make a nest, didn't she, in the red light? And
Just gonna show my Joan Littlewood poster there, you know.
Oh, there we go.
Love Joan.
She's the one. And I think that's quite important to like let yourself be creative without assessment and without any reasons. And I think especially as the Bohemians, we felt like we've kind of flowed lots in lockdown, really, haven't we? And
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been so inspired by seeing lots of other theatre companies and other people do stuff, and obviously there is like a big chamber of stuff now, but I think it's important to contribute to that and do our bit to keep people, or our little tribe and our you know, the people who follow us inspired and entertained, because I found the first 2 weeks very hard to sort of get out of bed and, you know, even just, you know, do anything, let alone think about writing or you know, producing or directing anything. So it's taken time to get used to it.
Yeah, it should be okay. And I think we all need to not pressure ourselves to feel like we have to be productive. Because I think the minute we stop pressuring ourselves to be productive and go, you know what, you're allowed to have a nap, then we can actually look after ourselves and see what we want to do and what's going on. Yeah.
And I think taking time, so I feel we've taken like 2 months now and have come to the decision, we want to do something now, we're ready to do something now. And that's where we had a conversation last week about doing an online season, and here we are, less than 5 days later, making the first segment of that season.
Because you've been doing lots of things theatre-y related and workshops and courses, haven't you, in lockdown?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I've been writing a musical, as I do. I've been about a Welsh artist called Gwen John. I've also been rewriting Wonder Town, which hopefully we can have a little reading of later on. I'm a part of this writers group called Book, Music and Lyrics, which is all about you write a song that would fit in a musical with a lyricist. So I'm a composer on the course, and that's been amazing, sort of learning about songwriting and how, you know, just how to make your work better with a group of peers. So I've been doing a lot of that sort of stuff. I've been baking like a madman. My Instagram, if you'd like to follow me, Benji Muso, @Benji Muso, you may see some chocolate torte, some Welsh cakes, some Ben's style cookies, because I'm missing Ben's cookies.
I saw that. I saw your attempt at that.
I did make a cheesecake, which went very wrong. I didn't put enough cream cheese in it. Sorry to the vegans. I didn't put enough cream cheese in it. And it was basically like custard with a breadcrumb base. So yeah, I'm gonna try the cheesecake again and make it better. So maybe that's that'll coming in June. The
Bohemians Bake Off.
It's gonna happen now. Thank you very much for tuning in or listening in to our, or watching in, wherever you're listening or watching, to our first episode of Benji and Abby Busk with ...
It will be Elliot next week, just to remind everyone we've got Wonder Town coming up.
Yeah, so next week we'll take a more in-depth look into our 2018 production of Wonder Town at the Ugly Duck. So perhaps looking at some of the songs and the scenes and talking about how we made the show. And we have a few more lined up after that, but we'll update you every week. Amazing. Thank you very much, Abby.
Thank you very much, Benji.
Well, thank you very much for listening, and see you soon.